I was actually out of school. I studied space physics at Embry-Riddle, and I was considering getting a job or trying to go on to grad school with a physics degree. You've got to go on, get your PhD most of the time to do the things that I was interested in at the time. And I decided just to go work for a while. And a few people I knew at school had gone to work at the time for the old Spectrum Astro General Dynamics at the time in Arizona. So I got a job there in systems engineering and mission operations, and kind of never looked back. Well, I guess for me, it was what I always wanted to do. I've told this story a lot of times. My mom used to buy me Lego sets growing up. She'd get me a pirate ship, and I built a spaceship. So she made a rule I had to build what it was, and then I could take it apart and build a spaceship. So it's what I always wanted to do from a young age. I was originally applying for aerospace engineering programs and went to Embry-Riddle and heard about the space physics program. That sounded really cool. They were doing exotic propulsion tracks, and so I switched. But there's a lot of the same basic stuff, all the physics and math, and still some of the engineering. So I was able to go into this industry. I guess early on I had some good mentors myself that really helped me learn about the industry, and it was mainly mission operations, some systems engineering in the beginning, and I was kind of given the opportunities that I know some people don't always get it. I was we'll throw you into the fire culture and see if you can come out of it on the other side, and just really focused on trying to learn everything I could about the different satellites I was working on at the time. And then when the Iridium opportunity came open, one of my main mentors had left and gone to Iridium, and it was in the period they were staffing up for NEXT, and gave me a call, said they had an opening, and it sounded like a great thing to do, especially because all of my mentors there in Arizona at the time, all I ever heard about was the Iridium stories, because most of them worked on the first generation and then spread out to the different companies around that area. So I thought it'd be good to go have my own Iridium experience. The one that I tell younger engineers now, and that I still kind of practice, but I've learned over time, is that I probably don't need to send all the emails I write. Sometimes, especially when you're younger, you feel the need to, demonstrate that you're competent, or you know what you're talking about, but maybe you're not really adding anything to the conversation. Or maybe you're sending, you want to send something inflammatory and you should sleep on it. So I think throughout my career, I send more of my emails that I write in their first form, but I definitely learned to, maybe in the beginning only send half of the emails I was actually writing. And so even today, sometimes I'll type up an email and say, you know what, I don't really need to say all this. I can just go talk to someone. I think at Iridium, like I said, I will always tell people that advice I just gave about sending emails or not. But I just try to continue to find opportunities for people to, to throw them in the fire, right? And we try to give everyone the right support, challenge younger engineers with things that maybe they didn't even want to do, but you think they might do a good job on, and just give them an opportunity, rather than, just restrict them to some definition of what they are allowed to do or capable of doing because of their title, right? There's plenty of things you're working on where you can give a younger person a shot and help them along the way, or even if they don't get it right, fix it yourself when they're done. But that's how people grow, is getting a chance to try new things and attack problems that they haven't had to deal with before. There was one, that's the one I always think about early on. It's been one of my main mentors throughout my career, the same companies we've moved to, was to you really have to focus on the details. It's not something necessarily learned in college, but even when you're in, I guess they can apply it specifically to mission operations. When you're executing activity on spacecraft, everything's got to be right? You can't, everything's got to be right and efficient. You don't want to waste time. And you can't have, you can't gloss over details or think you've done good enough. There's always something better you can improve on. For the constellation, the big thing for us is schedule, right? We're trying to get this new constellation up there. We had an aging constellation, and there were a lot of challenges to overcome in how someone might traditionally do things if you're working on one satellite, right? If you have one satellite, normally you have contingency opportunities built in. You have an activity that's supposed to take half a day, maybe into your overall schedule, you build 16 hours instead of 12 hours, right? But if you start doing that with 10 satellites at a time over multiple launches, then your schedule just starts to balloon and blow up. So I think what we had to do there were some times where you're working with a lot of engineers and everyone wants to build in their own margin, right? And then there's a tendency to look at the schedule at the end and build in margin on top of that. So we had to go look at the details of all the activities and make sure that there's not margin built in here, and we don't end up double counting it. That was one of the big details that we had to look at. And then even within some of the activities that might occur on a pass, there might be margin built in there. So we had to look throughout the detailed plans of everything going on, and kind of the way Iridium operates and the way many satellites, you're always planning ahead. You have to plan your passes sometimes days in advance with your ground assets, your antennas. So can be very difficult to move activities up, right? If you get ahead of schedule, you might not be able to do an activity till the next day. The thing we focused on was just maintaining a green light schedule and knowing that in our case, I don't think there were any activities that were risky if we scheduled them and then didn't perform them, right? We could always do it later if we didn't hit that mark to be ready for that activity. And everyone bought in. We noticed very early on we needed multiple scheduling meetings a day, and we'd have, in the beginning, the first launch, sometimes we were having 3 meetings a day, just rejuggling all the activities, replanning things to try to keep on our normal schedule. And it was the learning experience for us, but once we got efficient at it, we just kept improving the schedule every time. I have just gets me excited anytime I hear about the missions to try to discover new life, right? I think is it the JUICE mission is the latest one. The European Space Agency wants to send a satellite out. I know it's Europa, Ganymede, I forget the other one. Look at these moons where we think there's large underwater oceans. So that's always interesting to me to see if we can find life out there. I guess the one closest to Earth that's interesting, it's really just how all the 3D printing is taking off. I always forget the name of the company. Is Peter Beck, the company down in New Zealand. They're like 3D printing the whole rocket. Practically, there's like one screw on it. It was a talk I heard a while ago, so I don't know if things have changed since then. But even reading about some thoughts, my first thought, being a satellite guy, sounds very complicated. I'm not sure how it would work, but it's exciting talking about 3D printing parts on satellites, right? If something breaks, and you could maybe 3D printing something in space to try to fix it. Lots of mechanisms that would have to work there, moving it and installing it, but that could extend the life of spacecraft. satellites. So lots of interesting things.